Hey there, treasure hunting fans. Your old pal Big D here again with another review for you for Star Trek Discovery. Well, we have finally made it. We have made it to the mid-season finale, episode 9. Into the Forest I go. Little bummed. It's surprising how fast those 9 episodes went by. I was really surprised. Like when I looked at the listing for the episode before it aired, I was like, "This is it." Wow. I mean, it does come back. I believe it's the second Sunday in well, it's the seventh. That might be the first Sunday of. I think that is the first Sunday of the new year. So it comes back January 7th. So that's great. But it's also a little bit bummer. That's a couple months now where we're not going to have any Star Trek, and I've gotten so used to it with Star Trek being back on the air again that it's a little bit of a bummer that's not going to be there. And now, don't get me wrong, there's other shows that I do enjoy, and those shows are still going. They will end soon because, as all shows do this time of the year, they go on hiatus for the holidays. But it's Star Trek, and you people here and here know how much I love Star Trek. So, a little bit of a bummer that this is going to happen this week. However, at least Justice League opens this week, so I got something to look forward to. And to be honest with you, next month we got Star Wars, so there's stuff to look forward to. It's just I miss Star Trek already. But in this episode, Into the Forest I Go, like I said, it is the mid-season finale, and what a mid-season finale it was. Oh my lord. As you remember from the previous episode, the planet of Pavo had called the Klingon ship to come and meet because he was going to try to mediate between the Federation and Klingons to try to get them to stop the war. Well, that the Federation wasn't having that in this episode, and they recalled Discovery to go back to Starbase. I want to say 46 was the Starbase was supposed to go back to. Lorca didn't like that. Lorca doesn't like a run from a fight. Captain Lorca is very headstrong, wants to go in, but he has to follow orders. So instead of using the spore drive to go back, he decided to use his warp drive instead, which took much longer. And he gave the crew 3 hours. I think it was 3 to 5 hours. He gave the crew to try to figure out a situation where they could spore drive back to the planet Pavo so they could to protect it and figure out a way through to be able to at least track the Klingons while they're in cloak. So, of course, they do figure out a way. And the way they do figure out is they have to place a couple sensors on board this casket ship, this coffin ship, I'm sorry, that I'm just going to call a battle cruiser because a coffin ship to me just sounds really weird. So they have to place a couple of sensors on this battle cruiser, and they come up with the plan that if they do 133 micro jumps, that they're going to be able to track with those sensors the shield modulation of the Klingon battle cruiser and be able to see a way through its cloak. So, of course, with that in mind, it meant that first off, Lieutenant Stamets is going to have to figure out 133 micro jumps, which is a pretty big task in itself. And Lorca had to do quite a bit of convincing to get him to go through it, but tantalize him a little bit with a couple things he could see in the future, like possible other dimensions, mirror universe, that are out there that he could track. So he convinced him to do that, and the game plan was basically this: to go back to Pavo once the Klingon battlecruiser arrives, beam over 2 people while it's disengaging its cloak, because while it's disengaging its cloak, the shields are down. So beam over 2 people, the 2 people being obviously Michael Burnham and Lieutenant Tyler, have them go over there, place 2 of these sensors. One can be placed in the lower part of the ship, but the other one had to be placed on the bridge. So they executed the plan. They went back to Pavo. Of course, the Klingon battlecruiser came flying up. And so they beamed aboard, and the plan was hatched. Now, a couple things that happened in the course of this episode was Cadet Tilly accidentally let it slip to Dr. Culber that Stamets has been having problems, has been having some issues, which was a big revelation to him. And obviously Stamets was upset with Tilly because she exposed it. It wasn't really her fault. She thought in the conversation that maybe he had told his husband about it, but he hadn't. So it was a big oh boy moment. So essentially what happens is Burnham and Tyler go on the ship. They place the first sensor. After that sensor, they discover there's another human on board, which oddly enough is Admiral Cornwell, which we kind of knew she was on the ship because she's been on the ship other times, but they had no idea she was on the ship. So, of course, they go to find her, and they find her, but I don't think she was permanently paralyzed, but she was unable to walk. Like, she couldn't move her legs at all. But while she was also in this, which I'm assuming was a detention room or something, Lieutenant Tyler looks over and sees Laurel. And as soon as he sees Laurel, PTSD kicks in. All of a sudden, he can't do anything. He's basically just a a little feeble baby on the ground, kind of rolling around. He can't do anything. He starts to flash back to all this stuff, the torture that she did and other things that she did to him, and all of a sudden he was useless. But Burnham had to finish the mission. Meanwhile, while Burnham's trying to figure all this out, Discovery is out there doing all kinds of loop-de-loops around the Klingon battleship because they can't spore drive it because they got to wait for those two sensors to be in place. So they're doing some fancy maneuvering, and obviously, even though the Klingon battlecruiser is a much bigger, much more heavily armed ship, Discovery is more maneuverable. So it was just kind of flying around and shooting here and shooting there to kind of keep things going until their mission on board the ship was taken care of. So going back to Burnham, she decided to go ahead and leave Lieutenant Tyler with Admiral Cornwell, gave her a phaser, and then went off to the bridge to set up the sensor. Now she gets to the bridge, she hides out, she sets the sensor up, everything's a go. Then the Klingons decide that they don't want to mess with this stuff anymore, that they're going to warp out of there. Well, we can't have that because we need to find the shield modulation. Well, not shield modulation, but the frequency for their cloaking device, so they can see through this cloaking device. So Michael Burnham decides to expose herself, not expose herself, but to say, "Huzzah! I am here. I am on your ship." So then her and Cole start to have some banter back and forth. Meanwhile, Cole essentially knows kind of what her push buttons is, and she reveals to him that, hey, I'm the one that killed Takuvma. I am the one that killed Takuvma. So I would be a prize if you were. I am, because of me, you're at this. You're the leader of the Klingon Empire at this point right now. And so she challenges him because she's trying to delay the whole thing. So meanwhile, while she's doing this, because she's trying to delay everything, meanwhile she's doing this, the Discovery is spore driving all these little micro jumps all around the ship, this battle cruiser, and and they're taking their readings. So she's got to keep it going for a while. So she challenges him to a fight basically to the death. So she fights him, and she gets some good looks in. I mean, she did a really good job. She definitely did some damage, but he's way bigger and way stronger than her. So obviously, he kept pushing her around a lot. But she held her own. She did a really good job. She definitely held her own. Meanwhile, back in the rest part of the ship with Lieutenant Tyler, Cornwell talked to him a little bit because remember she used to be a psychiatrist, or she's still a psychiatrist. So she talks to him a little bit, and she kind of gets him to snap out just enough to fight the new Klingons that are rushing through the door. So he takes care of those. Meanwhile, the spore they finally finished all the tracking of the spore drive. They've got the information they need. They beam the people back over, and then they start launching a full assault because the Klingon battlecruiser goes cloak. They just start throwing everything they got at the battlecruiser, everything they've got in their entire arsenal of the battlecruiser, and they destroy it. Cole is dead. I was really surprised. They killed off. I kind of thought he was a major Klingon player, but he is now gone. The coffin ship is obliterated, which means it's going to be an issue for cloaking technology now because they were using that ship as a means to adopt it to other ships. So it's a big deal. That ship is now destroyed. It was a big ship, had a heavy crew to it, and it's gone now. So huzzah! This part of the war has been won, and now they have the ability to be able to track these ships while they're in cloak. So this is a major victory for the Federation, and of course everybody's happy, patting themselves on the back and stuff like that. And now once they're done, they've saved Pavo, so Pavo is safe. Everything's great, and now they're going to go back to Starbase 46, although Lorca's a little bit scared because Cornwell's back on the ship. However, he got her off pretty quickly to go back to Starfleet Medical to be worked on, but not to say that he's still not scared of what she's going to do, because what she said before she was captured by the Klingons to him, she's going to take his command. Remember, he literally was begging her, please don't take my command. So at this point, he's a little bit worried there. So Stamets has told Captain Lorca that he's not going to do the spore drive anymore. It's taking too much of a toll on him. It's just too much. He will jump one more time so they can get back to the Federation, but at that's his last jump. He can't do it anymore. It's just taking too much of a toll. And Lorca, for the most part, seems to be understanding of it, although it's Lorca, so I seriously doubt it. But so they get everything set up. They're all going to go back. Everybody's happy. Mission accomplished. And in the middle of the spore drive, something happens. And when they reappear, they are literally nowhere to be found. They are literally out there somewhere. And they don't know where they're at. They can't figure out where they're at. They jump to some place, maybe even as far away as like the the Delta Quadrant, like the Voyager ended up at. They're gone. They don't know where they're at. First off, Saru would say, excuse me, I don't know where we're at. I can't figure it out. I have no idea where he's placed us. Meanwhile, Stamets is really bad shape now. I mean, he is in really bad shape. I don't think he can perform another jump. So here they are stuck out in the middle of nowhere, and Stamets is not useful anymore because I don't think he can do the spore drive. Now they're in a lot of trouble, and then it ends. That is it finite. We are done until January 7th. So my thoughts on this episode, I thought it was a very good episode. I thought it was really well done. Characters, again, everybody acted their character very well. Really engaging story. And, I got to admit, watching this episode, and actually watching the first 9 episodes of this series, there's more that happened in the first 9 episodes of this series than I think any other Star Trek series combined in their first season. It's incredible how much stuff has happened in this show so far, and how many stories that are out there already, and how many webs they've weaved their webs all around. Whatever. I can't even talk right now. I'm sorry. But awesome show. Very well done mid-season finale. Really excited about going to see the rest of the season when it starts back up in January. Just overall excited. The first 9 episodes are a home run, and again, they have renewed this show, so that's definitely a big thumbs up too. That's extremely exciting, and I can only imagine what's to come. The Klingon War is not done yet by any means or bounds. There's still a long way to go, and there's still a lot more fighting to do. And the one last thing I want to leave you with is you got to wonder, at this point, Michael Burnham was pretty integral in them destroying that coffin ship, and she's actually, all the stuff that she did on Pavo and all the other stuff she's done so far in this series, you got to wonder, when this war is all over, will her good deeds outweigh the bad deed that she did? And in my opinion, I think it kind of does. She's actually saved a lot of people already, and probably shaved several years off this war with the Klingons. So you got to wonder, are they still going to make her, at the end of the series, still go off and spend the rest of her life in prison? Or will they kind of give her a reprieve and obviously maybe never come back to Starfleet, but maybe let her go and just give her a dishonorable discharge and let her live the rest of her life? So you got to wonder, because I know Lieutenant Tyler would much rather prefer her not going back to jail than going back into jail. So, but that is it. That is my review for episode 9 of Star Trek Discovery, Into the Forest I Go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button down below. If you'd like to see more videos from Big D, click the subscribe button up at the top. There will be more videos this week. I'm actually considering doing a Walking Dead recap because I'm a big fan of that show as well. Be on the lookout this week for my Justice League review. I will be seeing that movie tomorrow night, a special sneak showing. So please be on the lookout for that. And until then, everybody take care. And remember always, live long and prosper.